Michelle Baxter. I'm the program director here at the Cambridge Center for Adult Education. And I want to welcome you in celebration of Stan's 58 years of teaching here at CCA. I've seen walk through these doors, take classes with Stan. So if you could just take a moment and say hello, introduce yourself to your neighbors in front, beside you, behind you, that'd be great.
Some classes, she's my friend also.
We're all here tonight because we love Stan. And Stan has been a lover of theater starting in 1959 when he began the Caravan Theater, which was on the forefront of the Civil Rights Movement and the feminist movement, which came a little later. But Stan has been with us for that long, imparting his wisdom and really engaging all of us in the art of playmaking. So we're just here to honor and celebrate our master, Stan Edelson.
The first time I met, I think we met about 2 years ago. I had just become the chair of the board, and Stan wrote and said, can we get together? And I had this feeling that, okay, there's going to be some negotiation here. Not at all. Actually, what Stan came to talk about was the culture of the center. And I think we had a fabulous conversation about the institution and how important it is to so many people. And so that was great. So we talked for a while, but I couldn't help but be curious about your life, your career. So then we had another hour and a half. And I did have to do fact checking. It turned out it was all true. Very good. But it was a tremendous story and very real. And one of the things that I've loved about our conversations is that Stan is one of the people that's still looking forward, not backward. And this whole idea of you looking ahead, what are the ideas that can make the world a little bit better? But the key thing is that after that, not just the idea, then I want to know how to make it happen. And as you said, acting comes from action. And I think there's always a sense of vitality and what's next. At the age of 87, that's pretty good. I had trouble marshalling that at 65, so it's a great thing that means an awful lot. But anyway, it's a total privilege to have you be part of the center. And so this is an honor. The Cambridge Center for Adult Education, Stan Edelson, with appreciation and devotion, 2016. So thank you, sir. I know there's a program to follow that's been carefully arranged, but thank you all for coming. It means a lot to all of us, and it means a lot, I think, to Stan, but you mean so much to us. So, onward.
I want everyone to stand up, please. And Michelle and I are going to show you what we're going to do. Watch this. Everyone, follow. I did it. 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 Now, one at a time. I'm going to point to you, and you're going to lead. You're going to turn around and lead the rest of the group, something what I did.
I got nothing. What do you got?
I got a dying mother. And I mean, I really got a dying mother.
I really got nothing. Never attended a class. But I will.
Stan's so cool, pass it on.
Stan's so cool, pass it on.
Do you see that over there? I've never seen anything like that. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
So, the next phase is kind of like open it up for anyone who wants to come, sit in the chair, talk with Stan about anything you want, anything. Stan wants this to be like kind of like a talk show kind of like thing. So, who wants to come up? All right, Mr. Corinne.
If you would do your life over, how would you do it differently?
I would love to come on board in this world of ours with a cape on. I could fly through the air and save people from the top of the Empire State Building.
Haven't you already done that in your own way? Maybe you've done it thousands of times for all your students. You made us, even tonight.
Yes.
What do you look forward to?
I look forward to living forever and more, but then dying and liking it too.
Your wish has been granted.
And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say I really appreciate everything you have done. And you have touched my life. And then you make me a better person by knowing you. And I really appreciate that.
Özge from Turkey was in your class, first King Lear and then Othello. Here's what she said to you. I learned so much from your classes, your simple, serene way of teaching, the most passionate, most real phenomena of life and drama. You gave everybody equal space. You opened the space for everybody. You are a great teacher. I will always feel how lucky I have been for being your student. Thank you, Stan, a woman Othello from Istanbul, Özge.
Wow.
You can read it.
Makes everything else worse. I think what I want to say.
Wow.
I feel like I want to cry like mad, but I'm not going to do it until a moment from now.
You taught in Israel, Palestine for a while, didn't you? At least once?
Yes, I did.
And we went together in 2003, and I made this photograph. It's at the Western Wall, and Stan is talking to an American Zionist who feels very strongly about supporting Israel. And Stan, in his usual compassionate listening mode, listened very carefully, did not argue. And on the flight home, coordinators asked us to give them reflections. Now, Stan told me this later. I couldn't say anything. I simply wept. And when I finished weeping, I said, I am so ashamed. What was in your heart?
Well, I felt that I, as a Jew, really care about Israel and Palestine. That both people, they both deserve caring and love. And so I went up to the director, the woman director, right after the rehearsal, and said, how can I help? And she said, here, take this script. So I took the script and I said, what should I do with the script? She said, read it. That made sense, yeah. So I said, I'm going to read it, but what for? You have a part in this play. And I said, what? I don't act. I never acted before. I don't know anything about it. She said, you fit the part. But then I went home, and my wife Bobby at that time, who was not in the theater either, and neither of us were in the theater, and I said, well, should I take this part, go back and say that to her? She said, well, you could do that, or we could start our own theater. Now, how could we start theater without any experience or any understanding really what theater is really about? And the idea was that we could start a theater based not on art really, or acting or anything like the usual thing, but about the civil rights movement. And that would be a way to do something good for the world, and that's what we ended up doing. We called our theater group, we called it a social action theater, which meant to do something, to act, not only to act on stage, but get out there in the street and act. And that's what we did.
I don't have my cane, so get You're such a pain. You came into my life in many, many different ways. I came to you innocently to work on Caravan Theater or something like that.
That's right.
And it just became so much of my life.
Wow.
And I didn't expect that. On a personal note, I met my first wife at Caravan Theater.
I remember that.
And I'm trying to forget it.
I know.
So you integrate, or you are part of all of our lives in so many ways, besides just acting and all of that.
John is a wonderful friend. We've been friends for, as you said just now, 55 years at least. And he did come to Caravan Theaters, and John then introduced the whole idea of how to put media, mixed media, into plays, into theater. And he created a whole way of having all the walls of the room projected with colors or slides or pictures, and giving us as a theater, not just this little theater on the stage, but that made it sort of part of the larger world.
The environment,
The
yes.
environment is so important.
Out beyond the stage, yes.
Right,
Which is affected out beyond the stage and into the streets too. You took us into the streets.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Stan.
Thank you.
What makes you so special?
Well, I don't fully know that, but I have an inkling. The inkling is that I want to be out there with other people. I want to connect myself with other people. I don't want to be just me. I want to be me with other me's.
I think we have a similar goal. We want to engage people's curiosity and to open their hearts.
Right.
So how can we do that together?
Right.
Acting and woodworking. I want you to ponder that and get back to me.
Are you, in your heart, as beautiful as you seem?
Wow. It's curious you should ask a question like that, because you know when you're dealing with a 97-year-old woman who wants to really stop eating and die,
That's your mother.
and that's my mother,
Right.
there's a reality that comes out in those, well, what maybe final moments. So I have a beautiful heart, yes, but it's capable of many dark things, as all hearts are. All right? Okay, that's the theme of our first class.
More recently, I've thought of you and a poster that used to be in college dorms back in the idealistic early 70s. It was a quote by Bobby Kennedy that's pretty famous. Some people look at what has happened in history and ask why, and I look at things that have not ever happened yet and ask, why not? So I thought of you in this because you seem to be holding on to youthful idealism more than almost anyone I know. Not just idealism, but youthfulness. So is there a secret to that, or a substance to that you can explain?
It's not donuts.
Is it the hole in the middle of donuts?
Well, the hole in the middle is a clue. It means to go into the tunnel and come out the other end.
So in nothingness there is the heart of things.
So I'm going to ask you to tell a story of one of the very first drawings that you ever made when you were a kid in the Bronx.
I was just walking in the street as a kid, and I looked up around me and saw what was there. Were there trees? No, very few trees. There were buildings. And there were buildings which in my mind, a kid's mind, were almost like little monsters, not happy buildings. Even though in some ways I loved my neighborhood, I didn't feel all that comfortable or safe. And so that I thought, how could I do something? How could I live with these buildings around me?
You're like 4 years old?
Yeah. And so I drew the buildings, and then I drew a balloon in the air. And I saw in my mind, and then on the paper, a ladder coming out of the balloon. And it came almost to the street. You had to jump to get it. And I thought, that's what I have to do. I have to jump on that ladder.
What did the balloon mean for you?
I think it meant freedom.
Have you been following that balloon for a while?
Oh, yes. Well, once I caught it, that was when we had the caravan team. I thought that was a place where people could make something happen, could make things better.
I know that you continue to follow those balloons and look beyond the buildings or the whatever that might look like monsters, and let your heart follow that balloon, both in the public world, in your art and your theater and your teaching, but also in taking joy in your private world. And so I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. This is my daughter.
So it's wonderful to hear all these stories and meet all of you. It's really, really nice. I mean, some people I've known. I grew up with John, Skip, and so the Caravan Theater was my life, right? It was a caravan, so we got in the bus and other things, and we went to all these different places and lived in these different places. And but it's funny. I think for me, I went to so many plays when I was young that. I don't go to plays. I mean, my husband loves the theater, but he's had to find a group of other friends to go with because I just had my fill. And, you know, it was hard for a little girl to sit and my sister to sit and be quiet, right? We had to sit and be quiet. I think the thing that I got from my dad and from my mom really was the second part of what you said, which I never heard you say before, is that acting is tied to action, and I got the social activism part from you, and that is it's just the most important thing. I feel like my life is devoted to that. And and I work on wildlife conservation, and I've done that for a long time, and I'm very, and I've really committed myself to that, and I'm very good at it, even though it's a hard job. But I feel like that's the part that you really gave me, and I'm just really grateful to you for teaching me the importance of taking action in the world and to fight for what you really want. And just hearing the stories tonight of how, the world, you have to be part of making the world better, and that is, the word in, the Jewish piece of that is, they call it tikkun olam, and that's really helping repair the world. And I feel like that is, that both my sister and I are really hardwired to do that, and that's always what has been important to us. And I just really am grateful that you really taught me a clear sense of right and wrong. And it was just interesting when Trump won, and like how people working on social justice and environmental justice and all these kinds of things were so devastated. But when I called my dad, like you didn't have any of that. You were kind of like, all right, just sort of what you said before, well, we keep working, we keep taking care of the world. And it isn't about one person or anything like that. It's about all of us trying to work together. So that was just, I guess I just appreciate that you did that. You've done that with me.
Wow.
I really love you, Dad.
Stan, if you have any closing remarks?
Yes, I
Anything
do.
you'd like to say?
Yes. This may be a little tough for me, so bear with me if you can.
Yes, you can see everything.
There's another one here.
That's the one I want. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or take arms against a sea of troubles, and by doing so, end them. To die, to sleep no more, and by sleep to say we end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. From that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil under death. Must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long a life. Remember me, remember me, remember me.